What's up, guys? I am here with Dave Pancham, who I now call a friend, business partner. And if you don't know Dave, he runs Pancham, which is one of the most successful fitness marketing agencies that I have come across. What's up, Dave? Good to be talking to you, man.
What's up, Gil? Good to be on, man.
So let's dive right in. So I want to ask you a couple questions. And the first one is, what was life like when we first connected?
That's a funny question. So honestly, on paper, everything probably looked good. We had a seven-figure agency, so making at least 100 grand a month. But behind the scenes, it was complete chaos in the business. If you actually remember, I was pretty burnt out when we were first chatting about everything. And I was at the point of just wanting to be done with my agency because I was stretched way too thin. I was involved in everything in the business, did not feel like I could take a vacation, wouldn't allow myself to take a vacation or anything like that in the business, had some serious personnel issues, and also did not have a reliable client acquisition system. So much stuff going on that just felt so overwhelming. I don't know how to fix this. I just want to be done with this. And the crazy thing was I kind of had the same issues at 10 to 20 grand, maybe not the same exact issues. But the funny thing is I thought with scale, I'd solve these problems, and it seemed like I just scaled problems. And the wild thing too is that I felt I also had, because of all of these challenges, I think I also created some mental success barriers where I wouldn't let myself potentially push farther, because it's it's just going to become harder and harder. It's a bad place to be. The more I grow, the more painful it's going to be. Yeah, I wasn't in the best of places, man.
Then and now, and you're a smart guy, you're resourceful. So I'm sure you didn't just accept what was going on. So have you joined other programs? Did you work with other coaches? What were you doing to try to fix those problems in the past?
Yeah, I've definitely been in a number of different coaching programs, masterminds, whatever you have out there. There's definitely some good ones, and there's some that are so-so, and I've been in a whole bunch of different ones there. I would say what has been challenging with every one of them out there is that first off, a lot of them end up being good at one thing, kind of a little bit of a one-trick pony. And, they give you course material and they give you, coaching calls to jump on. But I think usually what is the missing link is the implementation and application of it, because they might teach it from this one place or this theoretical place of how they did it. But I'm okay, great, that's how it's done. But my business is kind of different. How do I apply this here? And there was not that little bit of extra help that I needed to make sure that it can work for me. And truthfully, also, it's just a little bit of the accountability to help me implement and push it through. Because I feel with good coaching, a good coach not only gives you the playbook, they make sure you actually run the play and you do it correct. And I think those key pieces there were definitely missing in a lot of the programs that I was in.
So, I know where you are today. Maybe people listening to this don't know who you are, where your agency is today, but I know that you guys have grown tremendously. We have grown tremendously. I know that you're in a good space. I know you're doing a bunch of cool stuff. You're involved in all these other business ventures. So what made it different this time? Why working with me and implementing some of the things that we talked about, why was it different this time for you?
Yeah, I would say a couple different things. The first one being is it was more custom tailored to what my situation is. You took the time to understand all the different problems that were in the business, and some of the things you pointed out, I'm this is actually not a problem. This is working perfectly fine. We need to fix this instead. So it helped me to prioritize and realize what my actual situation was and identify and what the actual strategy was to go fix this kind of situation. So I would say it was just more of a custom tailored, hands-on approach. And the other piece here, and this is going to be kind of two-pronged, is that for me, a big thing is being able to buy into the person that's helping you, right? I mean, I saw you from the side. I'm I know how well you did and how quickly you scaled to 500 grand. And then on top of that, you sold your agency, right? Which I think every agency owner wants to be in that position. You sold it for multiple millions. So it's the guy walked the talk and did exactly, what we want to do. And look, you can have two different agencies that are at seven figures and they can be looking completely different. One is a mess and one is something that can actually be sold. So that also means that you built it right along the way. You built it into an asset that somebody else can now come in and take over. And so I knew that's the stuff I need to figure out and implement into my business to fix what is going on here, because clearly I scaled something into a position that it was just making me want to break. And I'm I can't handle this anymore. So I would say the key things were is it was customized and also just belief in what you had done yourself. So for me, being able to buy into the teacher matters a lot, because there's plenty of gurus out there who scaled the 10K and now they're showing everybody how to create a 6 and 7 figure agency, or they just did one thing and that's all they know how to teach you around, but they don't completely walk the walk, right? They got their foot in one area, but not in the whole thing.
So give me some examples. That was a good explanation, but give me some examples. What are some of the things that we actually did together that changed things in the agency, or maybe even changed things with you?
I would say one of the most important ones was we made some big personal changes. We took a look at the org chart and where things needed to move around and where are my problem areas in the business and things that were causing me stress. And there were certain things that you pointed out. It's look, you're stressed out about doing this move right here, but I guarantee you give it a month or so after, you're going to be so relieved you did. And that definitely did happen. And then on the client acquisition side, it's we looked at every piece of what's going on. Number one, it's refining my offer, then making sure that my offer is profitable, restructuring the pricing on it, making sure the contingencies on it were working properly. Because the truth is we had struggled a lot with paid ads. We were losing money off of what we were doing. And we didn't even realize that some of the deals that we were taking on, we're losing money on this deal. Why did we do this? Some of the clients we signed up. So we completely restructured how we were doing things from an offer perspective, our ads perspective. It also affected not just the leads, but the quality of the leads that were coming in and the sales process. We reworked our sales deck, reworked with the sales team. So the whole client acquisition system completely got rebuilt to the point that where it's now, I'm like, I don't take sales calls, and we sign up 15 to 30 clients a month. I mean, our best month was 38 clients like signed. So way big difference on the client acquisition side. And then we optimize things on our operations and stuff like that too, to kind of take me out of being in that. I was much more of like in an operator role and moving more into like a CEO role.
Could you give me one or two quick examples of maybe like things where your beliefs were broken a little bit? Like, what are some changes we made in the agency? You didn't believe it was going to be possible, but we did it. And then the result was something that you didn't expect.
Very simple one. And you're always constantly pushing my belief with this is like, spend more money on paid ads, because it's like, we constantly keep on growing. And there's sometimes this tendency, it's like, oh, great, it's good. Like, the margin looks really nice. And it's like, no, push it. We're constantly creating more and more forward momentum. So I think that was like a limiting belief that I had around there. But, actually, maybe this doesn't exactly answer the question here, but I also believe the thing that helped us as big of a transformation that we had was there was just a belief shift or a personality shift or like just a complete shift that I went through personally that allowed us to unlock where we went to. We've added well over 100 grand in recurring revenue since like working together. I can look back at that version of me and I'm like, that was not capable with the version of me that I was at that point in time. And the version of I am now is like so much more capable and willing to take on so much more.
Where's the business at today?
We're doing pretty damn good, I think. So first off, like team wise, we are 45 so like team members on there. Numbers are not final yet, but like we're going to finish somewhere between like 260, 280 for like last month in revenue. That'll be our best revenue month ever. I'm still involved in the business, but I'm not involved like they're like talking to clients. I'm not like running ads. I'm not making zaps or some crap like that. I'm like CEOing, and I'm obviously helping with some of like the fire situations and stuff like that, but that's what I should be doing as a CEO. So I've moved into that CEO role where, I mean, one of the things I said earlier is like, I wasn't able to take a vacation. I'm like, I take trips, I'm like, I got another 2-week trip coming up in like a month here, another one after that. It's like, I feel safe and comfortable doing that because now I've developed a strong team there, and not even just like SOPs and stuff like that, but we just like properly empowered people to make the decisions that they need to make.
Would you say you're having fun in the business now? And you just shared you had your best revenue month ever, but it sounds like from my perspective, you're having a lot of fun. You're doing a lot of other things that you weren't doing a year ago when the business was making less money and less revenue. So from my perspective, or the people listening, if I was to say that you have more freedom, you're doing more things and you're making more money in the business now, is that true?
100%. Because it's not like we were necessarily like low margin or something before, but I think there's agency owners that are making good money and there's ones that are not making good money. But like at a certain point, it's not about the money. It's just like, you have to be able to enjoy this business. Otherwise you're just going to pull all your hair out. So yeah, I am in a way better place and I don't have that success barrier. I'm just constantly pushing. I want to keep on going. Yeah. Whereas before I was just like, nah, man, like more work means more stress. More revenue means more stress for us right now. I don't want to take that on.
To summarize and wrap this, what would you say to someone out there, agency owner who's stuck in their agency where you were a year ago at any level? Maybe they're not at your level. Maybe they're beyond where you are, but they still feel the pain that you shared. Or maybe they're below. Maybe they're doing less revenue, but they feel stuck. What would you say to them?
Number one, if somebody is over 7 figures, that's where I was when I started working with you. So Gil can definitely help you. But speaking to somebody who's less, like not making that much yet, this is something that I wish I had earlier on, because there's plenty of coaching programs that I've been in, but I think a lot of them are like kind of like a one-trick pony. They're teaching you one singular thing to get you to have some success, which is great. But had I been able to have something like this in my early stages, I call it 10 grand a month, I would have built a proper foundation to properly scale on, and I wouldn't have had the problems I had where I almost feel like I had to rebuild the business, and that's what was stressing me out and overwhelming me so much. I think it's super important to have that build that foundation, because what we've worked together on was not just like, oh, we got paid ads, we worked on like every like facet like of the business, from systems, operations, client fulfillment, our call center, and obviously client acquisition. Like it was every piece of it and making sure that it was like structured correctly like from the get-go. So I wish I had those things earlier on, because probably would have scaled it much more fast, or if I had paid ads, I would have scaled much faster, but I would have scaled with less stress. I wouldn't have had those psychological barriers along the way, like the success barriers along the way.
Dave, man, thank you. I am proud of you and I am excited to see what you do in the future, man. I can tell you're going to do really big things. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks, man.